Hello everyone, how's it going? Today I'm going to be going through QiDAO's stablecoin, MAI, previously known as Mematic. It's just recently been changed to MAI, and how it maintains its peg. All right, it's very important that you do the homework and you find out how the underlying mechanisms work. You can go through the documentations over here, and then you can find out even more. Especially going through documentation is what I recommend, if you learn the underlying technology and the underlying mechanisms behind any protocol, you will make better decisions, right? More informed decisions, I should say. So firstly, it's important to understand what stablecoins are and what a peg is. So stablecoins are tokens that represent the purchasing power of a certain fiat currency, such as the United States dollar. Some of them you might be familiar with are the USDC from Circle and Coinbase and USDT. However, of course, these are not as decentralized as other ones, for example. But that's another question, and we can get into that later. A peg, in this context, anyways, refers to the stablecoin's property of attaching itself to the value of said fiat currency. Okay, so it's pegging itself, similar to how clothes would be pegged against the clothesline, and maintain stability there. I'm not sure anyone have ever used a peg anyways nowadays. I think everyone just uses a dryer, but this is probably where it comes from anyway. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure. We can make a bet if you want. I don't mind. Okay, cool. But it's important to know that when they're pegging and they're attaching in terms of stability for the 1-to-1 ratio, they're also representing the purchasing power. And as you know, the purchasing power of the US dollar has been decreasing and decreasing and decreasing across time. And even though it seems more stable here, it still is decreasing. And of course, this is due to many, many properties. And one of them is money printa go, you know what I mean? I can't remember my hours that well, but you know what I mean. Okay, cool. So this is what the attempt is. Now let's figure out how Mematic does this, or MAI, as is now known, does this, how it maintains its peg. Because there are other stable coins around the crypto economic sphere, and it's important to be able to differentiate between them and their mechanics, okay? And that's for a future video and a future article that I'm going to be creating, so that you can actually compare and contrast which method you prefer, which approach you like the most. So this stablecoin, the MAI from QiDAO, is maintained by the following mechanisms, okay? Liquidation ratio, collateral token fluctuations, and arbitrage. Now, they're three technical terms, and I will actually break them down here so that you can find out. Once you know, it's not that difficult. As you can see, the article is nearly finished, so it really isn't that complicated. So like I said, you need to know the technical details of this, and to do that, first you need to know how MAI is minted. And MAI is minted through the QiDAO protocol, whereby users deposit a token such as Matic, or Polygon's native token, right? Polygon's native token is Matic, and it's used for gas, aka transaction fees. And you put that into a vault, and based on the value of that vault collateral, so MAI, Matic token, sorry, the user can withdraw 2/3 of that value. Okay, cool. So let's have a little look in the app. So once you go to the app, you go to the vault section. You can see for search or create, right? So I would, let's say, want to borrow some MAI. I can press create. I'll get prompted on MetaMask or whatever wallet you guys have. Of course, I've already done this, so I'm just going to reject. And as you can see, I've got my vault over here. And for an example, I just threw in a bunch of Matic, and roughly 51 of them, and I was able to mint 30 Mematic or MAI in the future, right? Collateral value, as you can see here, debt value is over here. Then there's a collateral to debt ratio, which I'll come to in a minute, okay? And this allows me to borrow, this allowed me to borrow this and take it out as a debt, but I still have room left to borrow more. And if I don't have room left to borrow more, I may face what's called liquidation. And this is where the liquidation ratio comes in, okay? And I'll be explaining the mechanisms and why this will be risky and this collateral to debt ratio would be safer over here, okay? Perfect. So let's have a little look then. Now, the liquidation ratio just means the minimum collateral to debt ratio. That's the absolute minimum. As a user mints MAI, they accrue debt, okay, showed you, and QiDAO specifies for the user that the collateral to debt ratio must be a minimum of 150%. As such, the liquidation ratio is 150%, right? When QiDAO vaults fall below the liquidation ratio, they can be partially liquidated, which is another mechanism which you can read about on their Medium, but meaning that the collateral will be partially sold to bring the ratio back to 150%, okay? This means that the liquidation ratio ensures every MAI is always backed by collateral value in the vaults, okay? And here's a little infographic that I got from their documentation. So as you can see, in 1, 2, and 3, and this is how the loop goes. So there's debt and there's collateral, like I showed you in the vault. And this is the liquidation value. This is the threshold of 150% you need to maintain, as you are actually individual sovereign, right? You have responsibility to maintain the value of the collateral being above this threshold. But if it goes down because the price or the value of your collateral has gone down and went below the liquidation value, you will actually have to face liquidation, whereby they sell, or the protocol or liquidators in this case, will sell some of the value of your collateral to bring it back up. Boom. Okay. However, there is a 10% fee to this, so you do want to avoid being liquidated. It's not something that people want to do. However, it could also be part of another strategy, which is for another story. Okay, cool. So how is this collateral, the liquidation ratio even maintained? And this is where the collateral token fluctuation comes into play, right? So the second technical term, this describes how the liquidation ratio is maintained. So QiDAO's vaults, let me make myself a little bit bigger again. QiDAO's vaults are over collateralized by 150%, as we now know. And as the value of the collateral rises, more stablecoins, MAIs, can be issued as the rise in collateral price. Okay, it will increase your collateral to debt ratio. Now, conversely, as the value of the collateral falls, fewer stablecoins can be issued. This is implemented to maintain the minimum collateral to debt ratio. So it's really that simple. Now, this obviously gives an opportunity of what's called arbitrage, and this is a financial term, okay? So in finance, they're all financial terms anyways, but arbitrage is a finance term that describes the opportunity a user can take when price discrepancies are found in the market, right? So this relates to stablecoins such as MAI, as they are openly exchanged on the Polygon network, and you can find them on decentralized exchanges such as Slingshot or QuickSwap or SushiSwap. So for example, here we have Slingshot, and they have a really nice UI, probably one of my favorite ones. It looks really clean to me. I love it. QuickSwap, of course, as the breadwinner and probably the most volume exchanged on the Polygon network. And of course, then you have SushiSwap, and they just are non-stop and they are everywhere. Okay, cool. And just a quick tip: if you ever need a little bit of extra Matic because you ran out and your balance is 0, you can receive it from Matic.supply, where there's a Matic 4 set. Okay, they will release some for you to allow you to do some exchanges. So just a little fun tip. Okay, cool. So once you know all of this, you know that people can buy and sell MAI for other token or coins, and this may lead MAI to fall below or rise above its peg because there's selling and buying pressure, right? Now this brings in the opportunity of arbitrage, and here I will explain using an example and a low risk opportunity that QiDAO's protocol provides. So QiDAO has a USDC swap. Okay, so I've got a link to it here, which I'll open it up in a second. But when the price of MAI falls below 0.99 or rises above 1.1, users can engage in low risk arbitrage through the swap. Okay, and the swap allows users to swap USDC for MAI and MAI for USDC. The price to buy MAI sets a price ceiling of $1.01, and the price to sell MAI sets a price floor of 0.99. Okay, this gives it a nice little threshold, like boundaries, in which you can buy and sell or swap the tokens from on the app, which is really, really cool. And I'll just show you guys here. So let's say you have some USDC, you type in however you want to swap for, you will get roughly the same. But as you can see, because of that small discrepancy, it's not exactly the same. And you also need to pay attention to how much is available, because this is the available liquidity which will actually allow you to make that change. So currently that looks to me roughly 30 million. Okay, so this is 30 million in liquidity. So if you have 29 million to be safe, you can make that exchange. And it has advantages, which I'll get into later, or I'll even leave for you guys to find out. Cool. So let's go over it again. The swap allows users to swap USDC for MAI and MAI for USDC, which I just showed you, and the price to buy MAI sets a price ceiling. So this is the boundary. Cool, perfect. Now the ceiling and the floor on this price keeps it from diverging from its peg too much, but that doesn't mean it can't. It just tries to incentivize people to buy and sell and swap at these ranges. Okay. Now, if the price of MAI diverges from its peg, users can buy MAI or sell MAI at the swap's exchange rate, and they can make a profit in the market based on the difference from the peg, right? And this is a very low slippage on these transactions, so engaging in this arbitration carries low risk. Sweet, let's take a quick example, and I think we are pretty much done. So let's say the price goes over the peg. If the price of MAI increases to 1.05, for example, a user can buy MAI with 1.01 USDC and then sell it on the market for 1.05 again, making roughly a 4% gain relatively risk-free. And that's the difference here. If you do 1.05, take away 1.01, you get 0.04, which is 4%. Simple as that. And it works the same way if it goes under the peg. So the price of MAI decreases to 0.95. A user can buy MAI in the market for 0.95 USDC and sell it to the swap for 0.99, making a roughly 4% gain. Same maths is it? That quick maths. All right, cool. Now the swap ensures that there's always MAI USDC liquidity at a price. So there's always going to be some liquidity unless for some reason someone with 30 million, like I showed you, just comes in and just rips it. But does it actually remove the liquidity? Not so much, because he's swapped it, so there's so much USDC there left, right? Okay, cool. Either way, I think you get my point. Now, one of the things to pay attention to here is during Black Swan type events. Now, this is usually when there's a massive sell-off, like we saw when Bitcoin dropped from 64,000 to 29,000. A greater than 50% drop, and the entire market crashes. You know how it is. If Bitcoin drops, the entire market crashes harder than Bitcoin usually. Now, when this happens, the collateral, let's say Matic, let's say you dropped in Matic in here, that means your Matic is going to fall even faster. And I think it did. It went from 2.7 down to like $1. Like, that's even more than 50%. Nearly, that's crazy. Now the increased demand. So where the Black Swan type events where vault collateral values dip rapidly, vault owners such as myself may want to buy back MAI to repay their value debt and avoid liquidation, plus the 10% fee. Now, the increased demand for MAI drives prices up, making it harder to pay back your loan at its true value. It's unfortunate. But the swap also allows users to participate in arbitrage transactions to correct any divergence from the USDC peg. And that's it. Awesome. Now you're equipped with the powerful knowledge and the know-how. You can begin strategizing through utilizing these tools. And yeah, give me a like or a thumbs up or whatever it is. And yeah, peace.